why don't we ask somebody that knows something about Vancouver again? Like I know it's getting
Well, we
old.
talked on Friday. We talked
And
to Drake's.
Just
I know, but we had another
to
person
get people up to speed. The latest is that the Canucks are playing out scenarios where they trade Pettersson, trade Miller, trade them both, or trade neither. It's Jim Rutherford's shop. They're going to be calling everyone.
If Pettersson's available, are you buying?
I would be very intrigued at what the price would be because it would be a lot, but you don't come across 26-year-old centers.
Who was
with
the guy in
lots of
Buffalo?
Eichel was there.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't the same spot, but there was fatigue in the market. The organization and the player weren't eye to eye. There was some naysayers about, he's not this, he's not that. And then he probably went and won a cup and looks like one of the best centers in the NHL. It's not the exact same.
Heaven and earth.
Would you? Despite
sometimes you got to take a stab at these things.
Despite the notion and the reputation of him maybe being a bit soft.
Listen. That.
Good point by you. Ryan, back to you.
What did he do when he said that?
He's kind of
a
knowing nod.
So he does want him or doesn't want him?
I want him. Pick him up, Connie.
Yeah.
The hell's a young centerman that we got? We got decades without.
So put on your Connie hat. Put on your Connie wig.
I don't even know all the players on the team.
I know. I mean, it's going to cost you some of those picks for sure.
I think you would need
to be
fine. Do they like Nazem Kadri? That would make things easier.
No.
They don't?
Well, I mean, sure, but I'm not going to, it's not going to factor in as far as I'll give you a.
Yeah. Just like the Kuzmenko was kind of.
Yeah. Like that's fine.
No, but it would be multiple first prospects and a player.
I think Kadri's a great fit for that.
I think it'd be, especially if you're moving a center out. Like if Nazem Kadri's your number 2 center, you're real good. The last place we saw it, they lifted the cup. It was Colorado.
But we know as we sit here that deal would be the Flames having to give them something to take Kadri.
Not necessarily. If they're moving Elias Pettersson, who's their second best center, they need to get a center.
No, I understand that, but don't mistake the facts. The guy is old and has a ton left on his deal.
Yeah. So you think there's no value there? It's a loss for them.
I still believe that the Flames
prefer a deal without Kadri than with.
For the Flames to trade Nazem Kadri, they are having to include another asset for a team to take.
I don't know about that. I would have agreed with this prior.
I think it depends on what you're hoping to get in return for.
Canucks are trying to win today. He helps that.
That's my point with the.
I agree.
You're being silly.
Okay. Cap's going up a ton. $7 million isn't that much.
The other thing is I think it's a bigger.
It's part of a huge deal.
No, I get it.
You're going to have to bring in a center. So maybe you use the picks you get back to go get another center. Maybe the center's right there. Maybe the Flames eat $1 million, but I don't think it's a slam dunk that isn't something they'd like to do. If you're moving out a top 2 center, you absolutely want to get another one back in.
Kadri might be in there if they're moving PD wherever the hell he goes. Kadri might be a guy that they're interested in.
I agree. Now the contract is owners.
I would think that you eat some of that contract,
and
Connie,
right along.
Quit being a cheap prick, and get some real value back.
But they would want much more than that. To your point,
come on, fellas.
I think you're drunk.
I think this is Ryan with his Flames goggles on, hoping and wishing. Oh no, this would be if it was the scenario was different. You'd be like, the guy's 36 years old. He's got 9 years left on his deal. What are you talking about?
He's got 5 years left on his deal, or 4 after this.
And it's not, which is not to say that Kadri hasn't been good. He has been. He's been a good Flame, aside from whatever it was the first 8 games of last year before Zary and Pospisil showed up.
And the first year was a disaster.
But if Kadri's $5 million, even if it is for 5 more years,
he's a massively valuable asset. If he's $5 million,
he's not as good as Backlund. Backlund's making 4.5.
Make no mistake. But in the real world, where general managers are dealing.
Yes, but general managers also want to win the cup.
I know.
And general managers will go, you know what? This could be the difference between hoisting and not. Right?
What is Nazem
Yes, it's
Kadri?
great. I don't have to make this deal, but we're going up against the Edmonton Oilers. And somehow, some way, we're going to have to either shut them down or score with them. We have to be able to compete.
So how did Nazem Kadri go from untradeable to now being a very attractive asset?
I'm not saying he's very.
I would say 2 things.
I'm not going at you.
No, it's fair because I would have said 2 years ago you can't move this thing. It's impossible.
Not even 2 years ago.
Well, that was the first year where we watched one of his worst performances ever. They missed the playoffs. The team was a disaster. Last year, he scores what, 29, 30? 29.
Yeah.
He's a good number 2 center. He's worth the money he's getting paid right now. The issue is the contract term. So if you're in a spot where the next 3 years are crucial and you might not be around for year 4 or 5, which are the last 2 years, if you're counting this year, he's got 5 years on after this year 4, you can say Nazem Kadri helps us in the short term and not be wrong. But I understand your point.
You would be telling, if I was making the argument, you'd be saying, who's a contender that has $7 million in cap space?
Colorado.
Well, Elias Pettersson makes 11.6.
We're saying it's $5 million in cap space.
You literally are saving $5 million and getting better production than you're getting from Pettersson.
You don't need to sell me on the fit.
It's a good fit.
You need to. We've had this conversation for years. We've been doing this show for decades, it feels like. And this is absolutely one of those scenarios where you would be saying the term, there's nothing you can do with it.
And
just because his play is elevated from awful doesn't make it any less easy to move.
So I would have said you couldn't move Blake Coleman's contract 2 years ago as well. And I think you absolutely could do it now. The other part that I didn't mention is that the cap is set to make an enormous jump, the likes of which we haven't seen in the last decade. Like, they're going to have a decision whether it's this year that they share some of the future cap growth or wait till the CBA expires and it could jump as much as 20 million.
Well, I'll say this.
Start looking at a $7 million player as if it's a $4.5 to $5 million.
If I'm wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong, then this needs to be priority 1 for Craig Conroy. If you can get something for $7 million mid-30 Nazem Kadri right now, don't play him another fucking game. Trade him right now.
They're not going to trade anyone until this team falls out of the race further than they are, but I think it will happen. And I do think, to all of our points, it's a much easier deal to make if he's making 5 or 6 than 7. And the problem with that is that's where you get out of Connie decision-making and into the owner thing. He hates dead money. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long-form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.